At UFC Fight Island 7, we might have seen one of the greatest individual performances ever inside an MMA ring or the UFC octagon with what Max Holloway did to Calvin Kattar. But Blake, this card, fantastic way to start the year. Not only was it huge because we got our first fight of the year, first fight in what felt like forever. We had 2,000 fans in attendance, and it was the first card on ABC. So all around, huge weekend for the UFC, and I personally don't think it could have gone any better for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. It seemed like the matchmakers just were on fire this weekend. I mean, every single fight was entertaining, either a first round KO or a bloodbath, on the main card at least.
Right? I mean, with the main card, we had three first round KOs to start it off, and then we had two decisions that went the distance, but they were fantastic fights. And so, Blake, I think it's just best that without further ado, let's get into things because we got that to talk about. We got UFC Fight Island 8 with Neil Magny and Michael Chiesa to talk about. And then, of course, we have UFC 257, the return of Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 2 this Saturday. So we got a lot to talk about. But first off, just want to thank our sponsor, Thrive Fantasy. If you're into any sports prop betting, this is your place to go. Just get the Thrive Fantasy app, thrivefantasy.com. We got all the links, and you go to this app. If you use a promo code fourth and long that you can see on your screen right here if you're watching the video, or if you're listening to the audio show, it's the number 4THANDLONG. And if you bet deposit at least 20 bucks and up to 50, they will match you dollar per dollar. So what better way to get started than now? It's pretty much free money right there. But Blake, UFC Fight Island 7, of course, the first card on ABC, and it got started hot with the prelims. And this heavyweight slugfest between Carlos Felipe and Justin Tafa was fight of the night when when it went down. It wasn't fight of the night by the time it was over. But in terms of actually back and forth, it should have been fight of the night.
I don't know about fight of the night, considering what happened in the main event, and
You
even
call
the
that
co-main event was pretty decent
performance?
too.
Okay.
But it was a good fight. I mean, especially for heavyweights, they kept their energy levels up pretty decent. No one really super gassed out by the end. They were still throwing pretty heavy leather towards the end of the fight, so no complaints from me. I thought it was a really really close fight though. Tafa, I
Mm-hmm.
almost felt like he could have edged it out, but Felipe, congrats to that guy, and now he gets to kind of clear the waters up ahead of him a little bit and keep going forward.
This is just a super fun slugfest. It like countless times we just had them in the middle of the octagon, forehead to forehead, just throwing. And that
Yeah.
was so much fun to watch. And the what I said on Twitter, which you could check us out at Fourth Long Radio, is something with these two heavyweight fighters is that they're not really guys that are going to be competing for titles. But you bet your ass anytime they're on TV, they're going to put on a performance for all the fans, and it's can't miss. You don't have to be competing for a title to have things entertaining, and this is a perfect example of that. And then our next fight was on to the main card, and let's talk about Puna Soriano against Sesko Todorovic. With this one of our first three straight first round knockouts, and this was a brutal one, especially compared to the other ones we saw. Maybe not the worst one, but it was one hell of a way to get that main card started.
Well, I felt like Dusko, however you say his name, he got knocked out like three times in that fight. So that was pretty tough and it was by the same punch every time it seemed like. So
Yeah.
that was a little rough for him, but it was like you said, it was a great way to start the card off. I mean, fireworks right out the gate. So I mean, ABC, here we are. You ready? And then it just kept going, getting better after that.
And our fight after that was a shocker to a lot of people. This is one of my famous instant cold takes where I was saying that this because before this, let's preface this fight. We were getting, let's put in quotes, Blake, the decision for Dana White and Khabib Nurmagomedov's future after their interview that was the Friday before this. And it was supposed to happen. They said 3 o'clock Eastern. Of course, it didn't start off the main card with that. So we had this fight first. Then we got to the decision, and I just gotta tell you, man, I was a little disappointed from what we got.
it wasn't really a decision. It was just kind of like the bullshit, I would almost say. It was just the same story that we've been hearing for pretty much since Habib first retired, and even really before he retired that time, because we didn't even know if he was in the fight, Gaethje.
Hmm.
Uh, so nothing really got cleared up, and that kind of sucks because uh, it's still in limbo. The title's still in limbo. He literally said it depends what I think, and so that's completely subjective to him. And I just don't really. I think it's almost a way to spite McGregor again. Like, what if McGregor comes out, has a phenomenal performance? He's just going to shun him again. And even if like Poirier has a phenomenal
Hmm.
performance, he's already beat him. He's already beat Gaethje, who's fighting. I want to say he's fighting Oliveira. If that doesn't get booked soon or not, I'd be surprised.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of frustrating a little bit because he said he didn't want to hold up the division, and now it seems like he's kind of holding up the division with him not sticking to his guns.
Well,
So
at least they say a lot of things. They said that Khabib is going to have his decision the Sunday after the fight. So we hopefully will know what's going to happen with his future in less than a week here. So I mean, fingers crossed because it seems like things keep on changing. But like you said, Blake, we kind of already knew this based off the interviews Habib was giving us going into this, like over the past couple weeks, because nothing new was said. It was still just a maybe. I mean, Habib's been saying he'll only come back for like something new and exciting, and that's only realistically Charles Oliveira. But he still is at least one fight away from a title fight. So personally, my guess is that Habib's just going to stay retired. Nothing crazy enough is going to happen this Saturday. You think so?
yeah, I don't really see him coming back and fighting McGregor. I think there's just too much bad blood there, and he's already proved like there's just too much risk, that outweighs the reward.
Mm-hmm.
He's already reaped the reward from beating him. He doesn't need to go out there and beat him again. I mean, sure, that would solidify his legacy and it would shut all the haters up. But it's just there is that one off chance, McGregor does show up that night and knocks him out. So I could completely understand him, you know, playing it safe, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he's got nothing else to prove. He's beat everybody. So
Yeah.
at least everybody that matters, in my opinion.
Exactly. It's just I'd rather it just move on from Khabib, and my dream would be the winner of we'll get into this, but the winner of the co-main and then the winner of the main event fight for the title. I think that's the best thing we can do there. At the very least, just make the main event for the
But
title.
then what are you doing with Gaethje and Oliveira? That doesn't make sense.
They fight for a title shot is what they do. So you have that fight first.
Hooker is ranked number 6 and Chandler is a newcomer. That doesn't make any type of sense.
Chandler could come on. Chandler is a 3-time champion in his own
If
right.
he was fighting Ferguson, I would totally be on board. But he's fighting a guy that's ranked number 6 and lost to Dustin Poirier.
I think Michael Chandler. I believe I wouldn't be surprised. Blake, you're looking at this with too much logic. You gotta look at this as a UFC. Okay, UFC matchmaking. Michael Chandler wins. There's a really good chance that he gets a title fight. He was the backup for Gaethje and Khabib, so he almost had a title shot in his first fight with the promotion.
I'm not so sure Chandler's gonna win this fight though.
Me neither, but that's the best part because we'll get to that.
Tough.
Blake. We'll get to that. But our next fight going into it was Joaquin Buckley against Alessio Di Chirico. And this was supposed to be pretty much a tee-up fight for Joaquin Buckley, coming off of 2 huge knockouts, 3 fights in a row. Alessio Di Chirico, he was on a 3-fight losing streak. This might have been his last fight in the UFC if he lost. But he lands this massive shin right to the side of the dome and knocks Joaquin Buckley out. And this is probably, hands down, the biggest surprise of the night.
Yeah, that was a crazy knockout. Buckley dipped right into it. It seemed, it sounded like a baseball bat just hitting the side of someone's head. So rough night at the office for Buckley. But I actually wasn't that high on him coming into this fight. I thought Holland kind of exposed him in that first fight and showed that he's really not at the highest of the levels right now. And So it's really no surprise to me another guy taking him out like this. I think there's a lot of stuff that he still needs to work on, and that just kind of goes to show it.
Do you think he still has potential, or is this just kind of derailed everything?
I think he has potential for some really good performance. And still, like, I think the UFC could still be his career, but in order for him to reach the title, he's going to have to, really dedicate himself even more than he already has been. I don't know, obviously, what he's been doing, but whatever he's been doing, it's not enough if he's getting finished by guys like that. And no offense to the Italian, but it's just, like you kind of prefaced this with,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't supposed to be the most difficult of fights. It was supposed to be another showcase on ABC for one of their up and comers that are, their stars that are starting to bud. So
I
tough
feel
fight.
like Dana White might have been a little mad about this one, but also just want to give a lot of credit to Dietricho. He gained me as a fan. I'm sure he gained thousands and thousands of other people across the world as fans too, just for what he was said in his post-fight interview or lack thereof post-fight interview, where they were trying to get him interviewed and then he declined it because he says essentially it takes two to tango and it shouldn't just be the winner getting interviewed. So I thought that was a really cool kind of sentiment from him, and I respect him a lot for that.
I thought it was just a missed opportunity. You know, Me and my dad
There's
were
the
having a talk about this
cynic.
earlier this week. That's your chance. All the eyes are on you. You're on ABC. You gotta say something that's gonna get you remembered. And I don't think that's gonna do the job. But more power to him. He's doing what he wants to do.
Fair enough, right? Then our next one was Santiago Ponzinibbio against Lee.
Ponzinibbio.
Yes. I don't know why I practice this and I always get tongue-tied with this. And another reason why I respect the hell out of John Anik and every single UFC commentator, because they have a tough job just pronouncing names for whatever reason. Just not possible. I apologize. But Lee Jingliang, and this is Santiago's first fight in over a year. He last fought in 2019 in November, and then Lee Jingliang was kind of, I mean, he was on a little bit of a kind of a good streak, but this is also supposed to be kind of something a lot of people at least expected Santiago to be able to handle. Then we had another, I would say, this was an underdog victory. We had three to start off the card and just landed a massive left hook that put Santiago out. And gotta say, Blake, I mean, it might be obvious, but ring rust is a real thing.
I think it depends, but yeah, it's kind of the matchup that you're going up against, and also the fighter himself, who's been out of the ring for so long. But I mean, some fighters have kind of put that to bed a little bit. That's that rumor, but or not that rumor, but
Mm-hmm.
that myth.
Mm.
So I think the Leech was just the better fighter that night. Ponzinibbio didn't really have an answer for those looping wild punches that he was throwing, and just never really got comfortable in there. It seemed like.
He didn't have much time to get comfortable anyway, because this was another first round TKO. Then our co-main was a fight that was essentially 8 years in the making, something that the UFC has been trying to put together for a while, but it's just never really come to fruition. I believe Carlos Condit was saying that he's had three full fight camps training for Mark Brown, and they've never fought until this point, but two legends of the sport, Carlos Condit and Mark Brown. I don't know if people had high expectations for this fight, but man, was this just a technical masterpiece and a super exciting fight in all facets of the fight game.
Is it Matt Brown or Mark Brown?
Mark Brown. Did I say Matt? Excuse me, Mark Brown.
No, it's
That's
Matt Brown. You're
yeah.
saying Mark, but it's
Am I saying
Matt.
Mark? It's Matt Brown. Yes, excuse me. I'm dumb.
There you go.
Thank you.
Gotta get you correct on this.
Appreciate you, Blake.
Um,
That's why we pay you the big bucks.
yeah, 0.00.
Hey, that's why you just gotta go to Thrive Fantasy. Get Blake some money.
Yep, it goes directly into my pocket. Um, yeah, this was actually a better fight than I really was expecting, because it's just tough to tell nowadays with guys that are kind of towards the twilight of their career, like who's going to show up. Because I mean, for Robbie Lawler, for example, that's the guy I've been waiting for probably his last, I don't know, 3-4 fights for him to show up, and he just hasn't done it. And Carlos
Kind of
Condit,
showed up against Ben Askren, but
yeah, I guess
that's
a
a little
little
bit of a
bit, but still,
controversy.
even then, it was just a weird fight.
Hmm.
But it wasn't the Lawler we're used to.
No.
Um, for Carlos Condit, he's actually looked pretty decent in his last couple of fights, and he
Hmm.
actually looked decent again in this one. He doesn't look like he's a world beater like he used to be, but he looked like he could probably take on, maybe the top 15s of the world, or people that are around there, which is why Ariel pointed out that it was his last. Ariel Helwani pointed out that it was his last fight on the UFC
Hmm.
contract, and that's why it wouldn't surprise me if that was his last fight. Maybe he does go to a Bellator, or hopefully not a one, because those guys would kill him. But try something else out. Do the old Anthony Pettis and test the market a little bit. Do the old Rumble Johnson.
Hey, he could do a PFL. He could make a run
Yeah,
in
he might.
PFL.
Because what he showed me against Matt Brown is, and even Matt Brown looked fine too. It's
Yeah.
just he didn't have an answer. But he showed me he definitely has a few fights left. So maybe that PFL format, tournament format would be perfect for him.
Hey, whatever they do, I'm still invested in at least what's left of their career. I'm going to watch. If they fight, I'm going to watch. It's been a while since they've really been able to put a statement fight like this on TV. But this, I'm sure they just regained the attention of a lot of fans, but especially all these new eyes on ABC. I'm sure they kind of showed people why they're legends and why people think so highly of them like this. And then our main event is still something, Blake, that is so shocking to me that I still can't believe what we saw, because Max Holloway is so damn good at fighting. I really don't know what else to say besides that. And how were you feeling through this fight?
I mean, it was really entertaining, start to finish. But what I saw online a little bit was people were somehow ragging on Max Holloway because he landed so many strikes. They turned it from a positive to a negative somehow, saying that like he has like pillow hands and stuff like
Oh,
that, and just can't finish his opponents. And it's like, man, there's no pleasing these
just
guys.
look at Cater's face. His
That was
nose
a
was caved
mess.
in.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know.
Cater's
I
just
mean,
has a chin of granite. He's just a beast.
it really seemed to me that Max's greatest defense against Cater, who has a hell. I mean, he clipped Holloway with a few ridiculous
Yeah, he
punches, and
did.
Holloway ate it
It
like
wasn't
his
totally
favorite
one-sided, but
cupcake.
also Holloway does have a great chin as well.
He has a granite chin.
There's a reason Holloway's never been knocked down in his UFC career.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, it was just tough to watch at some points too. Honestly, I
Yeah.
mean, Holloway was his greatest defense, in my opinion, was his offense in that fight. Him just peppering those strikes in there, not allowing Cater to really return fire, and keeping him kind of off balance the whole fight,
Mm-hmm.
pressuring him. It was, like you said, it was probably one of the better performances we've seen of recent memory, um, within the UFC organization. I mean, he barely got he barely took too many. He didn't take that many hard hits, but he
Mm-hmm.
did take a few that were a little risky. He got to talk his trash in there. He got to do a little bit of Cody No Love dancing as well.
See a
I
little
thought that was pretty sweet.
no look punch.
Yeah. So I mean, just super entertaining. He did it. I think he put on a excellent showcase for the UFC, and made everyone proud. That's a part of the UFC, really.
Hey, for not having a single sparring session in his last two fight camps, he looks pretty damn good. I guess not everyone needs to spar like that. I just want to give you the records that he broke on this fight. Pretty much every record he broke was his own. So significant strikes landed. He landed 445. So he landed 445. The previous year was 290, which is insane. So to put that to kind of other sports context, Blake, for you, that's like if Wilt Chamberlain backed up his 100-point game with a 153-point game, or if Adrian Peterson topped his 296-yard rushing game with 454 yards, or that's like Max Scherzer throwing extra innings and striking out 31 people in the game. That's what Max Holloway did with those. The significant strikes attempts was 744, so doing just throwing punches constantly. It reminded me almost like what we saw from you speak that against was it Colby Covington against Robbie Lawler. You spoke of him. It kind of reminded me like that, except it was way more brutal. Distance strikes, he broke a record for that. Head strikes, body strikes, landed significant strikes landed in a round with 141. And total strikes landed was 447, then total strikes attempted 746. So all these numbers, Blake, just astronomical. It's really hard to kind of put that into perspective. It's just crazy what he did. It was a record breaking performance, and see, now the thing is, Blake, I want Brian Ortega to beat Alexander Volkanovski so we can get this rematch between Holloway and Ortega, because it's going to be way better than the first time we saw them fight.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a very good matchup, I think. We'll see if Ortega can, provide a different look for Volkanovski, because, I mean, Volkanovski clearly has the answer to beat Holloway, even though I felt the second one. That's another story, though.
We all did. It's okay. And this, man, at least it's one of the rare times, Blake, that as a fight fan, no matter who wins, we can't lose. Because if Ortega beats Volkanovski, we get Ortega versus Holloway 2. Dana almost confirmed that Holloway's getting a shot at the belt after this. Or
he has to. He's the best featherweight in the world.
He's the best featherweight of all time. Or if Volkanovski beats Ortega, then we get the trilogy fight. And this is one of the rare trilogy fights that can get us the fourth fight, or maybe even the fifth fight, depending if they want to actually get the beat the split and stuff like that. So you can just print money with this. But all I gotta say, fantastic thing. I mean, he really beat the brakes off of Calvin Kattar. I've never seen a scorecard so lopsided. We had two 50-43s, then a 50-42. So we had one judge giving Holloway 3 10-8 rounds. When's the last time he's seen that?
Yeah, he really did put a whooping on him.
But also, real quick, though, I do want to give a lot of credit to Calvin Kattar, because he still put up a good performance in his own right, and it's still super impressive what he is able to do, and that he was getting his ass whooped in the fifth round, and he was still smiling and taking shots. So I don't know if he's going to fall too far. He still is a contender, and he's still a phenomenal fighter. And I'm not really going to take away much from here. Holloway's just the greatest featherweight of all time. It's that simple. And then moving on from UFC Fight Island 7, we got our UFC Fight Island 8. And I'm just going to be honest, don't call me a casual. If you want to call me a casual, whatever, it's fine. But this card just kind of feels But also, what can you expect when we have a 12 o'clock Eastern card on a Wednesday? So it's not like they're going to load this up, but we can still talk about this main event with number 9 ranked Neil Magny against number 8 ranked welterweight Michael Chiesa. And I'm happy for Magny. He deserves, for all he does for the UFC, for volunteering against Khamzat Chimaev and all that stuff, he deserves a nice little extra paycheck with this, being on the main event. But both fighters entered this bout on a 3-fight win streak. Neil Magny last fought Robbie Lawler. Keep on bringing him up in August at UFC Fight Night Smith and Rakic. And his last loss was to Santiago in November of 2018. Michael Chiesa, like I said, also on the 3-fight win streak. His last win was against RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos, back in January 2020 at the Blades and Dos Santos fight night. So, Blake, what do you think of this fight going into it? And let's get your prediction on this one as well.
This one's a tough one because I think both guys are super hungry. They're both really talented. Man.
It's going to be a fun scrap, I think.
I kind of want to say Chiesa, but Magny, the way he looked in his last bout.
Well, he kind of destroyed Robbie Lawler, if we're going to put it bluntly.
Yeah, and he had 3 fights in 2020, and they were all pretty comfortable decision wins. Mm-hmm. He beat the Leech. He beat Rocco Martin in a really that was a hard fight.
That was a fun one.
I didn't think he was going to win that one. So it's hard for me to pick against Magny, but I think I'm going to have to go with Magny on this one just because of pedigree and the fact that he's been a true 170 pounder for a few years, and
Mm-hmm.
Chiesa recently moved up. What I want to say, a couple, maybe 1, 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
from the lightweight division. Still a big dude. Not saying that there's going to be a big size disadvantage on either side, but for whatever reason, I think I'm going to have to go with Magny. I just think he's just a little bit tougher of a guy to deal with.
Now he did move up after he suffered back-to-back losses in that lightweight division. Losses to contender zone Kevin Lee and Anthony Pettis. He moves. Then he goes on to fight Carlos Condit and beats him via Kimura in the round 2. Diego Sanchez, unanimous decision there. Then Rafael dos Anjos, unanimous decision there. And I'm going to go against you, although I don't want to bet against Neil Magny, also just because I love the guy as a fighter, but also really like Michael Chiesa. I think he could do some good things in this welterweight division. He is not a contender yet. I don't know if he will be, given the current talent pool that we have at the top 5, but he's getting close. He's a guy that could beat a Demian Maia. He's a guy that probably if you put number 6 Tyron Woodley against him, Chiesa would probably take him out. So I'm going to roll with Chiesa on this one. Let's roll it. Another decision with this one. Make that 3 in a row for him for decisions. Now, Blake, let's get on to the real main event of the show. Let's get on to the real meat and potatoes. Let's get on to the things that everyone is talking about just because the notorious Conor McGregor, he is back the first time in a year. Actually, the day we're recording this, January 18th, was UFC 246. It was his return, so it's officially been a year to this day, Blake. And, oh boy, I just can't wait for this fight because it's a fight that I really don't know which way it's going to go. But let's get one of the first. Let's talk the main card though. The first fight on the main card is going to be number 8 ranked women's fighter in the flyweight division. This is going to be number 8 Marina Rodriguez against number 9 Amanda Ribas. Marina previously she was undefeated before she suffered a split decision loss to Carlos Barza, who might be challenging for a title soon, actually, depending on how things shake up. And that was against the Whitaker until fight night in July. Amanda Ribas.
These girls might be fighting at strawweight.
Sorry, they're going to be at strawweight for this
115.
one. 115 for this one. Amanda Ribas herself, though, she's on a 5-fight win streak. She's riding high. Of course, she most recently, this is actually when she got her popularity where she just got a massive spike in kind of followers and fan base. That was when she took out Paige Van Zandt, pretty much kicked Paige Van Zandt out of the UFC when she submitted her in the first round back at Fight Island. And that was a UFC 251. And she's also beat Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern, another up-and-comer contender in her own right. So she has a couple nice wins along this 5-fight win streak. How do you see this one going?
This is a tough one for me because I'm actually not too familiar with the woman Marina Rodriguez, I believe, the one fighting Ribas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a toss up for me. I want to lean towards Ribas just because I'm more familiar with her, but I mean I don't really think I can have too good of an opinion on this one, unfortunately. But I'm excited to watch it.
Has fought some good people, some good fighters coming up. I mean, going back, she has fought Amanda Torres, Jessica Aguilar, Tisha Torres. She had a majority decision draw against Cynthia Calvillo back in 2019. Of course, that was a split decision loss, and where she looked good, and she arguably, you can make a lot of arguments that she won that fight.
Okay, so, I remember her now. I've seen a couple of her fights.
Yes, just need to jog your memory.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm going with Ribas for sure.
And with this one,
now I know for sure it's going to be Ribas.
I don't know if it's you sound really confident with that. I'm not as
100% confident because I mean they have similar opponents in Randa Marcos. Mm-hmm. She can only squeak out a draw. Talking about Rodriguez, whereas Ribas had a comfortable unanimous decision win, I believe. Tisha Torres is really the only impressive win I see on here.
No, I'm not 100% confident like you are, but I'm still confident enough where it's going to be Amanda Ribas. She is a strong up and comer in that division. She's a fighter that's possibly going to be looking to contend for the belt in maybe 2, maybe 3 fights. And so I got her taking this one as well, Blake. Now our next one is going to be a this is going to be our lightweight bout, and 3 lightweight fights on this main card. It's going to be Matt Frivola against Altman Azayatar. And this could be a sneaky good one. This is going to be Frivola's first fight for a while. He hasn't fought since October 2019, and that was a split decision win over a violent Bob Ross Luis Pena. And this is Altman's 3rd UFC fight, so still a pretty recent guy. His first fight was at UFC 242. And then a Waterson versus Hill fight night back in September. So, and both of those fights have been first round knockouts.
Dude, you see he's on like a 5-fight KO streak right now.
Yeah, he's going to be his pre-UFC fights.
Both of his first 2 UFC fights are both performance of the nights.
Mm-hmm.
And they were within a year of each other. So that's kind of weird. I wonder, they probably went over why he took such a long break in between those.
This dude, Altman, he's kind of a beast. Like he's kind of a beast, and that's why, I mean, sorry, Matt, but I'm going with Altman on this one. He's looking like a nice guy in that lightweight division. He's unranked fighter, but a guy that might be able to crack into the top 15 really soon.
Well, if he keeps getting freaking knockouts like he's getting, he's going to be, he's going to be knocking down the door pretty soon of the top 15.
He's going to have to, right? So I'm assuming the way that you spoke about him, you're taking him in this fight as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, Matt Frivola, let's hope for a not first round knockout for your sake right there.
Yeah.
Our 3rd fight on this card is going to be our flyweight bout against Jessica Eye and Joanne Calderwood. Both of these ladies are coming off of losses in this fight. Jessica Eye has lost 2 of her last 3. Of course, those losses were against when she was murdered and then brought back to life on the canvas after she got head kicked by Valentina Shevchenko a couple summers ago. And she also has lost to Cynthia Calvillo most recently, and her win in the middle that was against Viviane Araújo. And then we have Joanne Calderwood coming off a loss to Jennifer Maia, of course, the woman who in her last fight did challenge Valentina Shevchenko for a title and put up a way better fight than almost everyone's expecting, especially considering that Valentina Shevchenko entered that fight as a minus 2,000 underdog. So
that was a weird fight.
Yeah, it was. A lot of credit to Jennifer Maia. I gave her credit when we talked about that, what feels like a while ago now. And that loss to Jennifer Maia was recent. That was a UFC Fight Night, Brunson versus Shabazian back in August. So 2 women that need a win right now if they want to stay relevant, with Jessica Eye being number 6 still, Joanne Calderwood being number 7. Who do you see getting this dub?
Shoot, I don't freaking know. This fight doesn't really excite me at all. I think
Hater.
Joanne, if she shows up that night, I think Calderwood can beat her because she's fought some pretty decent opponents, and Jessica Eye just looks like she's just kind of not good at all. I don't really think there's any part of her game where I'm just like, yeah, that's gonna do it. But Joanne, I mean, if she shows up and she's on, this, I could see this primarily being a striking battle, and I could see Joanne maybe taking it to her a little bit.
I mean, I wouldn't say only, but she lost to Maya in the first round on the ground with the armbar. So, I mean, from a black belt in BJJ, so not the worst way to lose to a fighter like that. But like you said, Blake, he's probably going to stay on the feet. And the bad mofo, Joanne Calderwood's probably going to get it done here. I love the nickname, too, by the way. Fantastic nickname on that. And the Scottish fighter is going to get it done, this one. I like it. And we get on to our co-main, which is a fight that we briefly discussed a little earlier in the show. But I'm super excited about this one, Blake. We get number 6, Dan Hooker, against UFC Michael Chandler in his UFC debut. And this is honestly a fantastic fight for Chandler to start his UFC career with. There's a lot of speculations thinking it's going to be maybe Michael Chandler and is it going to be Justin Gaethje. Personally, I think that one would have been putting Chandler into the deep end a little too quick. But Dan Hooker is a phenomenal fighter. He came off a really close loss to Dustin Poirier, which is fight of the year for most people for YouTube Blake. And man, I am super intrigued to see how this one goes. Really intrigued to see how Michael Chandler looks in his first UFC fight.
Yep, same here. I'm ready to see how he's going to fare against these guys at the top of the division. And I know that he was mostly trying to get a fight lined up with Tony Ferguson, but that just kind of fell through multiple times. They couldn't really come to an agreement. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he can hang in there with Dan, because Dan is that's a really tough UFC debut for anyone.
What do you expect to have Michael Chandler in this one? Do you think he tries to, NCAA Division I wrestler right there, won awards for that. So you think he's going to try to take to the ground, avoid the striking capability of Dan Hooker?
I would assume he has to use some type of aspect of his wrestling skills in order to keep Dan honest. I mean, he's not going to be able to just go out there and strike with Dan Hooker, because that's going to be a rough night. I mean, he's 5'9". Dan Hooker's like 6'1".
He's a tall lightweight.
I think he is the tallest lightweight in the division right now.
Has to be at 6'1".
Yeah, I think he's going to have to mix it up in there. I don't know. Dan, even if you were watching the countdown, it's only like 7-8 minutes long. He's already expecting that Michael Chandler's going to be bringing in some wrestling. And he says, I welcome that. There's not really a lot of guys that can get me down, A, and B, hold me down. So I don't know. I think it's a really tough task for Chandler to come in here. I think there was some better matchups for him. And now he's got to take out a shark, man. He's got to take out a freaking shark.
Big test for him. Dan Hooker, of course, he's one hell of a striker. That fantastic fight with Paul Felder, fight which I personally think.
Just think of the guys he's fought, dude. I mean, he's fought the who's who at lightweight already. I mean, Poirier, Felder, Gilbert Burns, he knocked out. I mean, the list goes on and on. I want to say James Vick he knocked out. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, what can we say about Dan Hooker that already has been said? He's a fantastic fighter. Then it's also it's City Kickboxing, so he trains with Israel Adesanya. Israel has fantastic takedown defense, a guy that really gets taken down, and then if he does, he's back up pretty quick. And we could probably expect at least something similar, same kind of training from Dan Hooker, being in the same gym and everything, being similar fighters in a way. So he's probably going to have pretty good takedown defense. He has been tested on the ground that much through his career. Most of it's just been stand-up wars. But Michael Chandler, if he wants a shot at this one, he's going to have to take him down maybe 2 to 3 times in this one. I like Dan Hooker in the stand-up against one. But you got to give respect to Michael Chandler. There's a reason he was a 3-time lightweight champion in Bellator. So this guy is a legit fighter. But, Blake, your official prediction for this one?
Man, the only way I could see Chandler getting it, I think 3 rounds actually might benefit Chandler in this one, because he'll be able to, really push the pace, I think, from the start and mix, like I said, mix it up. Use his takedowns, not get too gassed out, not have to worry about round 4, round 5, the championship rounds. He can just completely, go full throttle. With that all being said, though, shoot, I think I'm still going to have to go with Hooker on this one, because it's just a guy I'm more familiar with. I kind of know what he's capable of. And just the matchup stylistically, I think that he's going to be able to get it done just with his size and reach advantage. And I'm thinking he's going to have a much better stand-up game.
This is a fight where I think it's probably not good. If it's a finish, it's Dan Hooker getting the knockout. If it's a decision win, it's probably going to be Michael Chandler getting this one done. I believe. I believe if Michael Chandler is able to effectively use his wrestling, use his ground game, get those takedowns, and essentially point Dan Hooker up and try to take the least amount of damage as possible. That's probably the best game plan in this one. It's not going to be a striking match, as we kind of hinted on. Man, it's tough because Michael Chandler not well liked by the UFC fans going into this one. A lot of people love Dan Hooker, with rightfully so. But there is a reason that Michael Chandler was the backup fighter for Gaethje versus Khabib when he was first brought into the company. There's a guy that almost got a title shot in his first fight with the promotion. He's a really good fighter. Like I said, 3-time lightweight champion in Bellator for a reason. And I don't like saying this, but I believe that Michael Chandler is going to find a way to get it done this weekend. Probably, like I said, decision. But, hey, if Dan Hooker, personally, I kind of want Dan Hooker to win because I love the guy. And, hey, we'll see, right? It's going to be super close, though, is what I think. And our main event of the evening, Blake, I mean, I don't know what more we could say about this. This is just a huge fight in every sense of the word, every meaning of huge, gigantic, any synonym you want to throw out there. This is it, because we have the number 2 ranked Dustin Poirier, of course, coming off that fight of the year for a lot of the people against Dan Hooker. His fight before that was for the lightweight title against Khabib Nurmagomedov. And he's coming back to fight the rematch against the notorious Conor McGregor. And this is a huge fight. Of course, Conor's last fight was at UFC 256. And the first fight went down in 2014 at UFC 178, back when we were still in the 100s. This was a featherweight fight, and this was Conor McGregor's only his 4th fight in the UFC at this point. He gets a knockout a minute 46 into the first round, Blake. So a lot has changed since his first fight. A lot of factors are going into this right now. And just give me your breakdown and thoughts going into this main event.
It's kind of tough. I think they've both evolved a little bit since then.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've both gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dustin's gotten more durable. I think he's, with him both of them moving up in weight,
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives them a little bit more of a chance to absorb some of those big shots. The thing that's interesting, though, is with Conor, we don't really see him absorbing too many big shots. When we see him lose, it's usually by tap out, by exhaustion most of the time. Whereas Dustin, we have seen him get rocked in pretty much every fight. Any fight he's in, he's going to get rocked. And the thing is, if you get rocked with McGregor, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all she wrote. And so that's why I'm pretty confident in saying that I think McGregor gets the dub again, because his confidence level, the training that I've seen that he's been putting in, I mean, just look at his
better
physique.
than ever. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. I mean, both the guys look jacked, but McGregor, it just looks like something. I don't know. He drinks Michael Jordan secret stuff, before every training and before he goes to bed and before every meal. So it's going to be really tough for Dustin to beat him, especially because I think there has to be. I mean, there has to be something mentally going into that when a guy has already put your lights out once, and that. I mean, I see the motivation on one side and the inspiration, but I also at the same time can see a lot of doubt that could creep up, and you can't. I mean, sure, you can control it, but it's going to seep in every once in a while, and how well is he going to control that? But long story short, I see Conor McGregor getting this win again. Mm-hmm. I think he's just too powerful. Like he's been saying, the whole build-up, he's going to hit him with the shots that he wants to hit him with, and he doesn't think in his mind that Dustin's going to be able to withstand that. And I mean, he's speaking from experience, so I'm going to have to go with the guy that's done it, that's been there and done that.
That's very fair. There's it's kind of hard to bet against Conor McGregor a lot of time. And one of the stats that you allude to is Conor McGregor, he's only had 2 UFC losses. His first 2 losses were, he had one on the Irish regional circuit, and then there is also a loss to Joe Duffy, a Cage Warriors, when he was still fighting in Europe before he came over to the UFC. And both those losses was a round 2 loss, submitted to a rear naked choke by Nate Diaz. And then he also had the round 4 tap out due to rear naked choke again by Khabib in their fight. So with this one, we've always seen the story. The story with Conor McGregor is his gas tank, and he's a round 1 and round 2 fighter. And kind of once you get into the third round, the championship rounds, your chances of beating him start to increase. And I mean, the thing is, most of his fights don't even get that far. Round 2 knockouts, round 1 knockouts. I mean, his crazy knockout against Jose Aldo, 13 seconds in the fight. His most recent one, Don Cerrone, just 40 seconds into the fight. Just insane stuff. But the thing is, if Poirier is able to take this into the championship rounds, like usual, his chances of winning this fight against Conor McGregor increase tremendously. And he just has to be a smart fighter the first 2-3 rounds. He just has to be. He doesn't have to land heavy things against Conor McGregor. He doesn't have to knock him out. He just almost has to not get knocked out. It really feels that way. So there's a lot going to this. Poirier coming off a fantastic performance against Dan Hooker, able to really piece him up a lot of times in that fight. Of course, you know what they say, Blake, a motivated Conor McGregor beats Francis Ngannou. It's just like that. It's just that simple. And so it's tough. It really is tough. But call me just trying to be a contrarian on this one to you on this show, but I'm going to roll with Dustin Poirier in this fight.
All right, we need to make sure we get all these picks saved because
you
can't be flip-flopping this week.
No, trust me. I don't flip-flop, Blake.
You're already 0-3, bud.
I'm a man of my word. It's okay because I'm not even I am the
I think the only one we agreed on so far is what?
Neil Magny?
Ribas?
And not even Amanda Ribas was the only one we've agreed on this show.
Yeah, because you still took Chiesa, so.
I took Chiesa on that one. We got Amanda Ribas. I mean, I'm rolling. We did Calderwood. We also did Calderwood and Altman. So we got 3 agrees, 3 disagrees. Blake, we're even right here. Okay.
So really, it's just co-main and main event, the only 2 fights that matter.
Essentially, yeah. Hey, Neil Magny and Michael Chiesa matters. Don't disrespect.
Well, that's not even the same card.
Yeah, no. Oh, on this card, yeah, it's mostly just this. It's going to probably come down to the prelims at least for us. So, hey. I'm super excited. Of course, we're going to be fighting for that Suck My Pick title. Maybe, Blake, you can get your baby back on this one. But, dude,
he's got it right now, Jalen, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So, little sucker. But to kind of sum things up, just in the little words, in 2 to 3 words, give me your thoughts from UFC Fight Island 7, and then give me your thoughts going to UFC 257.
I don't like these word limits that you give me.
What do you think?
I mean, I think that it was a great showcase. I like if that's the 2 words you want, great showcase. I mean, what else could you ask for the first UFC card on ABC?
Nothing.
And then looking forward towards the Wednesday fights and this weekend's fights. Shame on Dana White for not adhering to my schedule and making fights so early in the morning, especially when I have work meetings all day and I can't watch.
What do you mean? You can't just whip out the phone real quick?
I'm gonna have to use my phone for my Zoom meetings because video chat. We don't have video cameras on our computer.
Damn,
at least not
dude.
on my computer at work, so I got to use that. And plus, I can use my AirPods and have 2 hands to type.
My thoughts go out to you. I'll be watching this one at work too. It's gonna be tough, right?
257 though, I'm super excited for. We're gonna, everyone's gonna have to get together, do a barbecue.
Oh yeah, you got to
get socially distance with some friends around, maybe.
Yeah, guys, totally.
Split that $70 bill because we can't stream shit anymore.
Well, it's because Dana White's gonna be taking down their streams. At least that's what he says. So
gotta pay $70 this week, and that's gonna be expensive.
I think that's the thing I'm looking forward to. One of the things I'm looking forward to the most is just seeing what Dana White's gonna be doing. His quote secret weapon or secret plan or whatever the hell he's talking about for Saturday.
Yeah. It's pretty trash.
I don't want to pay money, but that's when you just have like 4 people over or whatever, and then you just split the cost and it's all good. But still, it's going to hurt the pocket a little bit. But Blake, I just want to tell you 3 words for UFC Fight Island 7. I'll give you Happy Dana White, first off. And then for 257, I'm going to give you comeback denied. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going with here. But Blake, thanks for joining us. Thanks everyone for listening to the very end of the show. We appreciate the hell out of all of you. Let us know your thoughts on UFC Fight Island 7, your predictions for Fight Island 8, and then also what you think is going to happen at UFC 257. Of course, you can check out our polls. Early polls are already showing Conor McGregor by a landslide, and both on our Instagram at Fourth Long Radio. He has 85% on our fan poll right there. And then on Twitter at Fourth Long Radio, he's winning with a 90% to only 10% to Dustin Poirier. So we already know the opinion from you guys. Appreciate you reaching out to us and giving all of your thoughts on that. But Blake, just real quick, you gotta thank our Patreons. Of course, you can go to patreon.com/fourthandlong to become a member today for just $1 a month. And shout out to our patrons, Ray. Follow for all your card needs. Go to Instagram and check out the Big Bat Box. Thank you to Neil. Check out his YouTube Chosen Problems, and shout out to Ryan Watson. Then, like I said at the beginning of the show, Blake, for all your, you tried it out. You didn't have, I think you had a little bit of luck, right, with your basketball betting, right?
No, I didn't make any money, but I only did one. I think I did one prize pool yesterday,
Okay.
and it was just for NBA. I missed the Sunday divisional cutoff by like 7 minutes or something like that.
A fun app though, right? Sports prop betting is kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be more interested. I'm gonna be more active in it with it next weekend and probably get a little bit better results.
Love it. And then
because basketball is not really my thing.
Unless you're voting on the Kings, right? All your prop bets go to the Kings.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I hit all the Kings prop bets last night. Ooh. I hit like De'Aaron Fox. I mean, his was just like the over. I think he had to get like over 31.5 points. And I got like 115 because it goes towards like you've seen it. It goes towards you have like a maximum set of points you can get with like 10 selections that you make. And then you're basically competing against everyone that also entered that pool, that prize pool. And so it's kind of interesting, but we'll see. Hopefully I get better luck next weekend. Maybe give it a little bit more thought before I kind of just dive into it. But that's why I kind of didn't go too hard this weekend. I just wanted to give it one little try and then give it a better try next weekend.
It's all good. We love that. And then all of you guys can give it a try to essentially get free money with this one, because it just use promo code Fourth and Long, and you get, if you on a $20 or to $50 deposit, they'll match you between that 20, they'll match you up to 50, so you can get essentially like 50 free dollars depending on how much you want to deposit right there. And like, you have a good time with the sports prop betting, and you can get up to 70 with at least $75,000 guaranteed a week in prizes. They're giving out over 2 million since the start of this app, so a lot of fun stuff there. Just go check that out and have a great time. But thank you all for listening. Check out our Patreon, check out Thrive Fantasy. And I hope all of you are somehow able to catch UFC Fight Island 8. Best of luck for all you that have jobs and in college and all that fun stuff. And Blake, enjoy the hell out of UFC 257. It is a card that is going to be very hard to disappoint, and I can't wait.